Today we're going to talk about why we switched Milka to a raw diet and why it was one of the best decisions that we ever made.
Apart from having her in the first place, yeah?
Of course.
Welcome everybody back to Dog Talk, where we empower you to help your dog live longer. Alright, so let's talk about why actually we switched to raw. Ever since Milka was a puppy, she always had some kind of health issues. Whether it was hot spots or runny poo, rashes on her chest and all that kind of stuff. And most importantly, she used to throw up a lot. And that's what actually really made us look into what's going on with her, because we knew throwing up wasn't really normal.
So it got to a point where we took Milka to the vet and we did some x-rays, we did blood work, we did everything you could do as a pet parent to ensure that your dog is okay. We were advised that Milka was being fed great food. There was nothing wrong with the food. We didn't have to worry about that.
Premium kibble we were feeding, by
Premium
the way.
kibble.
Actually, after we went to the vet for the first time, he said everything was fine. We switched from one premium kibble to another premium kibble because we thought, okay, maybe it's just the type of kibble that we're feeding. And Milka was like kind of in that junior phase. So we went from puppy to youth anyway. And it just did not get better.
Milka was still having issues, throwing up and all this other stuff. But at the same time, we were advised by some great friend of ours to have a look into feeding a raw diet.
Dawn, shout out to you.
Yeah, we were very hesitant, I will be honest with you, about switching to a raw diet.
But why were we hesitant? Because we had a friend who was studying to become a vet, or is still studying to become a vet. And she was kind of like, no, don't do this to your dog. And now today we understand the reasons why a vet would say this, you know, because that's a story for another video maybe. But we had this student who's a friend of ours who says, don't feed raw. We kind of went with that first, despite of the fact that like our other friend said all these great things about the raw diet. So yeah, after we went, I think for the second time, we went to the vet and we were told we're feeding this awesome premium kibble and she's perfectly fine. We were like, no. Like,
but she's not fine because she's throwing up. She's throwing up constantly, so she's not fine.
And then 1 week, she actually threw up like, how many times was it? 3 or 5 times?
A few times.
Yeah, I can't really remember if it was 3 or 5 times, like back to back to back, she threw up and we were like, no, this is it. We're like the next day we just went and we ordered raw food. We started with a pre-made, and ever since we did that, Milka has not thrown up anymore.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So we switched Milka with basically the feeling of we have nothing else to lose.
Yeah.
Right? So we decided to transition Milka onto a raw diet slowly over a course of a couple of days to ensure that everything was okay. Again, we didn't want to cause any more upset to her stomach with her digestive issues.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Yeah. Like we really just, wanted to see if it works. And then a month later, we were like, wow, like we're going to stick with this. And it was the best decision ever for us, for how we have developed from then. Like we've gotten so much more health cautious about what we eat and what Milka eats and why Milka's having all these crazy reactions to the dry food back then. And ultimately also we came to understand obviously her digestion better, but also our digestion and our body. And it's just been like an amazing journey. Like it's really awesome, and we would never go back.
Never. Ever.
I mean, for us it really worked out. And I know a lot of you might be thinking that, great, you switched to raw and everything was fine, but I really can't afford it. And trust me, we thought the same exact thing. Like that was our number one reason, besides our vet friend who was saying no, not to. But
it was high on the list.
Yeah, not being able to afford raw was like the number one reason why we didn't switch, because we thought we couldn't afford it. But once we actually said, okay, this is our last resort, we have to try this, we actually realized that in the long run, it's much cheaper to feed raw, because we've spent in the first, Milka was what, 1.5 when we switched her. And in those 1.5 years, how much money did we spend on the vet? I would say like $1,000.
Yeah.
Like $1,000 we spent on her a year before we switched to raw, and now zero. Like nothing health issue related. We haven't had to go to the vet in a year, and the money we're saving that way is the money that we use to feed her. So it evens out actually, and at the same time we know that we're doing something where Milka's going to hopefully live much longer because of what we're doing now. So yeah, it's amazing.
If your dog is having minor health issues, we would really encourage you to at least try to feed a fresh food diet to your dog.
So if you're listening at this right now and you're like, my dog is struggling with the same exact thing that you've described, and I just can't find anything that makes my dog feel better, we would actually really, really encourage you to just start somewhere. You don't have to necessarily start with a fully raw diet right away. Like make the transition gradually, but just try it and just see if it actually helps your dog, because you never know, it might. Like we really did not think that it was going to make such a big difference, but it did, and we're so happy that it did. Apart from Milka's health issues that she had that have gotten better since then, there's so many other things that have gotten better, like shiny teeth, sparkly coat, and all that kind of stuff.
And if you're on the fence about switching to a raw diet, we would really encourage you to also feed a pre-made raw diet. Wherever you may be living, maybe there's a local raw food company that you can buy from. Like that way you don't have to feel like, oh, I have to make all the food myself. I need to find out where I can get beef organs and meat and bones and have to grind it. Like, no, you don't have to do all that. You can try with the local raw food brand that you can feed to your dog. And if you want to make it yourself anyway, you can go that route. Now we want to hear from you. What made you switch to a raw food diet? Let us know in the comments below.
If you haven't switched to a raw food diet yet, let us know why you're not switching yet and what's kind of like holding you back, because we would really like to know, and let's see, maybe we can help you somehow in your transition. We'd really love to do that. So just comment.
And if you haven't already, smash on the subscribe button, like this video.
What he said.
And if you want to hear from us with more videos like this, then please do let us know. All right, guys.